Good afternoon, everyone. For our math session this afternoon, we are going to be arranging fractions in order. But before we get to arranging our fractions, there are a few things I want to get from you so we could launch into our lesson. Last lesson, we did types of fraction. Do you remember any type of fractions? Yes? Unit fraction. Very good. So how do I write a unit fraction? Yes, go ahead. 1 vinculum 2. Very good. And what do we call this unit fraction? Exactly, 1/2. But why do I call this fraction a unit fraction? Yes, the numerator is 1. Anytime we have a unit fraction, the numerator is always 1. Can you give me another example of a fraction? Yes, proper fraction. How do I write a proper fraction? Yes, 3/8. So this is saying 3/8. So don't tell me 3/8 because fraction has names. All fractions have names. So we must call them by their names. So this fraction is called 3/8. How do you know this is a proper fraction? Excellent. The numerator is smaller than the denominator. Anytime there is a fraction where the numerator is smaller than the denominator, it is called a proper fraction. Do you know of any other? Very good. Improper. What do you mean when you say improper? Exactly. The numerator is bigger than the denominator. So give me an example. Okay? 3/2. Is 3 bigger than 2? Yes. So this would be an improper fraction. You know one more? Tell me the one more you know. Okay, a mixed number. And some people might say a mixed fraction. But give me an example of your mixed number. 3 and 2 vinculum 5. So what would I call this fraction? Exactly, 3 and 2/5. What is this tree saying? Yes, we have 3 wholes. And that is why we call this a mixed number or a mixed fraction, because it has whole and fractional parts. So we have all 4 types of fraction here. This morning, I want to make sure you understand what all these types are. And if you just go to my fraction chart, what kind of fraction you see on my fraction chart here? You sure? Why you say these are all unit fractions? Yes, all the numerators are 1. So we are going to get some unit fractions now. And we are going to put them, I am going to give you some and then you are going to put them in order of size. So let's say I have these fractions. What is this fraction? 1/12, 1/7, 1/3, and 1/5. What kind of fraction do we call these? Unit fraction. Why? Because the numerator is 1. So let's look at our fractions. We want to know which of these fractions is the biggest. Now you can use your fraction chart to help you. So we can use here to help us to know which fraction is the biggest we have here. But just let's look here. So we can see what we have here. We can find these over here except for 1/7, but that would not be a problem. We would still get it out. So we have 1/12, and let's look at 1/2. First thing you notice, all these are holes. And all the holes are the same size. So let's look at 1/2. That means our whole is divided into 2 parts. Anytime we hear the word half, it means that we are talking about 2 parts. And here we have 1/12. Now, if I have 2 mangoes, and I share 1 into halves and 1 into 12, and I'm going to give you 1 piece. Which piece would you want? Why would you want 1/2? Exactly, because 1/2 is bigger than 1/12. So yes, I want a big piece, so I will want 1/2. But when I look at my 1/2 and my 1/12, how many pieces do I have here? 12. So what that is telling you, the more pieces your whole is divided in, the smaller your fraction gets. So if I divide into 20 pieces, it is even going to be smaller once I am using the same size whole. Because you cannot use a different whole and compare. These wholes must be the same. So we can look here, and when we look here, which of these fractions you think is the smallest? Okay, 1/12. You sure it's not 1/3? Okay, so let's look. Here is 1/3, and here is 1/12. So yes, you are correct. 1/12 is smaller than 1/3 because we have more pieces. So we are going to arrange these fractions. And remember, we can arrange them in 2 different ways. If I am going from the smallest to the biggest, remember what we call that? Yes, ascending order. And if I am going from the biggest to the smallest, so we are descending, we are coming down. I normally like to say ascending, you're going above. So the A for above and the A for ascending. And descending, we're going down. D for down and D for descending. So you should get those terms easy by their first letter. So let's say we have these fractions, and we are going to arrange them in ascending order. What ascending begins with? A. So we are going above. So we are stepping from the bottom, going up. So we are going bigger. So let's look at these fractions. Which will be the smallest one? Yes, 1/12. We already discovered that already there. So we'll put 1/12. Next, 1/7 is not there. So let's say if we leave 1/7 out. But let's look at 1/5. Yes, 1/5. Out of 1/5 and 1/3, which is bigger? Right, 1/3 is bigger. So we know 1/5 is smaller. We're just going to use some reasoning so we can see where we can put in 1/7, because it is not on our chart, but we can reason it out. So we have 1/12, now we have 1/5, and we already discovered that 1/3 is the biggest piece. So I have 1/7. Let's look at a pattern here. See if we can find a pattern so we can know where to put 1/7. Where do you think I should put it? Between 1/12 and 1/7 and 1/5? Why? Very good. Because 1/7 have a bigger denominator than 1/5. So we must put 1/7 before 1/5. So let's look at these denominators. This is 12 7, 5, 3. What do you notice here? We are going from the smallest to the biggest. Remember, these are unit fractions. So we are going from the biggest to the smallest. And here we start. Which number? Is this bigger or smaller? This denominator is bigger. Where is my smaller denominator? Yes, at the end. So tell me what you can tell me about unit fraction when we are arranging them in order. Excellent answer. When we are arranging unit fractions in order, the bigger denominator is the smaller fraction. So once the denominator, the bigger one, is the smaller fraction. So here we have 4, and 12 is the biggest denominator. So therefore, 12 would be the smallest fraction. 3 is the smallest denominator. Therefore, 3 will be the bigger fraction. So you should get this. When we are arranging unit fractions in order, the bigger or the biggest according to how many you have. So in this case we have 4. So let's say the biggest denominator would be the smallest fraction. So yes, this is arranged correctly. But let's try one more example. That is not a unit fraction, but we are going to have the same numerator. Let's see if it will work with any fraction once the numerators are the same. What do we call this fraction? Very good. 3/6. 3/8. Again? Yes, 3/2. It's not 3/2, it's 3/2. And this one is 3/4. Why do we call this quarters? Yes, 4 pieces. The denominator tells us how many pieces. So 4 is here, and whenever we are talking about 4, we say quarters. Now, we are not sure if this will work like unit fraction, but we are going to see. And I'm going to show you an easy way where you can look at it, and we only have to do it once, and then we can make our generalization. So let's say this is 3/6, and we are going to draw diagrams for each of these fractions. If I'm going to draw diagrams for each of these fractions, what should happen to my whole? Correct. All my wholes must be the same size. So all the wholes must be of the same size. So I'm going to draw one whole. How many pieces should my whole be divided in for this fraction? Correct. 6 pieces, because my denominator is 6. So here are my 6 pieces. How many pieces do I need? 3. So let's take out these 3. This is what I'm going to deal with. So this is my 3/6. Very good. Now I need to draw another whole. And my other whole must be the same size. How many pieces do I need in this whole? Yes, I need 8 pieces. Do I have 8 pieces here? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How many pieces do I need? 3. So there are my 3 pieces. And this fraction is 3/8. 3/8. I come to my third fraction. And this is saying 3/2. So my whole must be divided into 2 parts. Okay, here is my whole. How many halves do I have here? 2. 1, 2. But my fraction here says 3/2. So how can I get 3/2? Yes, John, we draw another hole and we take half from that other hole. Very good. So I draw another hole, half, so I need 3/2. 1, 2, 3. Remember, this whole thing here is saying 3/2. How many holes we have to represent 3/2 here? So we have 2 holes because we cannot get 3/2 in 1 hole. So we have to draw another hole to get our other half. And this fraction says 3/4. Here we draw another hole, same size hole, and we need quarters. So we are going to divide it into 4 pieces. And how many pieces do we need? 3. Very good. And this is saying 3/4. So all of our diagrams are here, and we can see the value for each of the diagrams. This is saying 3/6, 3/8, 3/2, 3/4. Now let's look at our diagram. Let's see if we can look at the diagram and see which is the biggest and which is the smallest. So let's look. And this time we are going to arrange these into descending order. When we say descending order, what do we mean? What letter is for descending? D. And what else D stands for? Down. So we are coming down. So we are starting at the top and we are coming down. So we are going from the biggest to the smallest. So let's look at our diagrams here. Which of these fractions is the biggest? Well, you should know that from before. When I drew, because this has 2 holes, so it's obvious I take a hole, plus I need another half. So this is the biggest. What do we call this fraction? 3/2. So we are going in descending order, so we should have 3/2 first. Let's look at our diagram again. What did you say? Yes, 3/4. Yes. So we have 3/4. How you know the smallest is 3/8? Okay, yes, you can see it here. So 3/8 is the smallest here. 3/6, these pieces are bigger, so 3/6 is bigger. So the next would be 3/6, then we have 3/8. So I want us to look. Let's see if we could generalize just like what we did with unit fraction. Remember we say how we get unit fraction? The smaller denominator is the bigger fraction. So let's see this. This one will be easy for us to know because these are arranged with the smaller denominator. Is this the biggest fraction? Yes. Which is the biggest denominator we have here? 8. Is that the smallest fraction? Yes. So what can you tell me when our numerators are the same in fraction when we arrange them? Yes. When the numerators are the same, the smallest denominator will always be the biggest fraction. Do you get that? Let me hear you say that. When the numerators are the same, the smallest denominator will be the biggest fraction. So now I am going to give you 2 to work on. And I'll be right back to check your answer to make sure that you would have followed what we have done this morning. So work on these 2 while I take a break and be right back. Okay, welcome back. And I hope you would have finished the 2 examples that you were given to do. So, do you have your answers with you? Okay, so let's see number 1. Number 1, you want to arrange from the smallest to the largest, which we call the ascending order. So you are going to look at my answers and see if your answers are the way I have them. And if they are, it means that you are correct. Okay, so first 1/20th, 1/9, 1/7, and 1/4. Did you get that for your answer? Very good if you did. Let's look at number 2. We want to arrange in descending order. And descending means we are coming down. So we are going from the biggest to the smallest. So tell me. Oh, that's not correct. So we are going from the biggest to the smallest. So our biggest should be 5/3. Okay, question. Then we should have, tell me, 5/8, 5/10 and 5/12. Because when we look at 5/3, we realize 5/3 is the smallest denominator. So this would be the biggest fraction. This is the biggest fraction, and this is the smallest fraction. So we are going in descending order. We are going from the biggest to the smallest. So if you have 5/3, 5/8, 5/10, 5/12, then your answer is correct. If you have 5/12, 5/10, 5/8, and 5/9, it means you would have gone the other way around. So you would have gone in ascending order, but the question was for descending order. So this is your correct answer. Okay, we are going on and we are still going to do arranging. But let's look at this example. So here are my fractions: 4/6, 3/9, 2/18, 1/3. What do you notice about these fractions? Yes, all the numerators are different, and all the denominators are different. So we cannot say when the numerators are the same, we look at the denominator. So we'll have to do something else to arrange these in order. You can think of anything we can do? Okay, well, we are going to start by making equivalent fraction. We are going to do this method today. Equivalent fractions, and then we arrange in order. There are different ways you can do it, but we are going to do equivalent fraction for today. Do you remember how we generate our equivalent fractions? Yes, we count in the multiples of whatever we have. If our numerator, we count in the multiples of that numerator. And then we count in the multiples of our denominator to find all the equivalents. So, here we start with 4/6. So I have 4/6, and we are going to generate equivalent for 4/6. So we're going to work on our numerators. So let's go. If this is 4, we are going to have multiples of 4. So this is 4. My next would be 8, 12, 16, 20. And I like to say, do 5. Because you don't want to do a whole lot and you could do only 5. If we need to go on, we will go on. But let's do 5 for now. Yes, we write our vinculum. And to get our denominator, we do multiples of the denominator that we are given. So we have 6, yes, 12, 18, after 18, 24, 30. So we have generated 5 equivalent for 4/6. So now we are going to generate equivalents for 3/9. So we start with 3/9. Now we get our numerators. So we start with 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. So we stay at 5. Vinculum, 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 vinculum. And we generate our denominators. So we have 9, 18, 27, 36, 45. So we could take a peep here and let's see if we have anything so far that has the same denominator. So we notice 18 is here, 18 is here. But we have to do for all of them because we are not sure. Let's look. Next is 2/18. Okay, so we generate our numerator. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Now we are going to generate our denominator. What you say not to do anymore? Okay. Because you're saying there is 18 here, 18 here, and 18 here, but we don't know what this will have. Are you sure? Oh, bright girl. She said 3 times 6 is 18, so we're bound to get 18 here. Let's see if she's correct. So she said, don't do any more here. So let's take these off and stay at 18. Let's see if she is correct. So we'll have 1/3. So we have 1/3. So we are going to generate 2, 3, 4, 5. Vinculum. What is, go one more? Why? Okay, so she said go one more, 6. She's becoming a bright girl. Let's see if she knows what she's saying. So we have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. Oh, so she knows exactly what she's saying. So here we can see all of the fraction has 18. All of the fraction have 18 as their denominator. So we see 12/18, 6/18. Yes, don't forget this one here. This is also a fraction. 2/18, and we have 6/18. Oh, she said she sees something. Tell me what you saw. 2 of them are equal. How you know that? Very good, because this is 6/18 and this is 6/18. But because they're equal, we can just put one after the other. It doesn't matter. So we are going to arrange these. But remember, you're not going to arrange with these fractions. You're going to arrange with these fractions that you were given. So we look for the, yes, I didn't say how we are going to arrange them. So we are going to arrange them in ascending order. What does ascending order begin with? A. So we are going above. So we are starting at the bottom. So which of these do you think is the smallest? Yes, 2/18. But you are not going to arrange 2/18. Why? Because I did not give you 2/18 to arrange. So you are going to look 2/18. See? 2/18. Oh yes, 2/18 is here. Very good. So this is 2/18, so we have to use our 2/18. So the first one will be 2/18. Means that you are paying attention. And it doesn't matter, you can make mistakes. Mistakes help to build us. When you make your mistakes and you can correct them, no problem with that. In maths, there's always time for mistakes. Make your mistakes and move on. Yes, you don't go and tell anybody outside that she got it wrong. She will know what to do. And you love to go and make it bigger than what it is. Stop it. This is class. We don't want to hush children up. We have to allow them to think, make mistake, and move on from that. So when they grow up in the world, they will know what it is to make mistake and move on. So we have 2/18. Very good. Any other? So we have 2, 6, 18. So they are the same size, but because we have 4 fractions, we are going to put them one after the other. So we are not going to do 6/18, but we are going to do, you always come to the end here to look at the fractions you are going to arrange. So we are going to do 3/9. So we can put 3/9. And we can put 1/3. And the biggest of all would be 4/6. Very good. So here we have our fractions, and we arrange them into ascending order. So we start at the bottom and we get to the top. So this is one way of arranging fraction in order where the numerators and the denominators are not the same. There are other ways. But for now, I'm going to give you 2 to do for homework. And when we come back next time, next week, we will learn of other ways to arrange fraction in order